All right, let's talk about something we've all felt. That sharp, almost personal sting when someone hits you with a sweeping generalization. Today, we're going to dig into why those broad statements can feel so much like an attack, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
You know that feeling, right? You're in a conversation and someone drops a, "you always do that," or "people like you never listen." It can just stop you in your tracks. But why? Why does a simple word like always carry so much weight? That's really the core question we're going to unpack here.
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to use this really powerful metaphor that will pretty much frame our whole exploration today. The idea that you are the architect of your own life.
What does that even mean, being an architect? Well, it means you're not just some passive passenger in your own mind. Nope, you are the designer, you are the engineer, you're the one holding the blueprints. This whole way of thinking is about empowerment. It's about giving you the tools to consciously build the best, most authentic version of yourself.
Okay, so every great architect needs a toolkit, right? Well, for the inner architect, there are 3 absolutely fundamental tools that we need to get a handle on. First step in our toolkit is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP. It sounds a little technical, I know, but think of it as your master blueprint and your entire set of power tools, all in one. It's the framework that helps you understand the language your brain is using, which then gives you the power to consciously rewire your thought patterns for way better results.
Next up is the interface. Honestly, the best way to think about this is like the control panel for your mind. It's your personal filter that manages how you take in information from the outside world and how you interact with it. It's the bridge between your inner world and everything else out there.
And our third tool, well, it's also our ultimate goal, achieving the coherent nexus. This is that state of perfect internal alignment. You know, that sweet spot where your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are all in sync, working together. It's like the gold standard for your entire inner structure.
And this slide really lays out the workflow perfectly. It's a simple but really powerful process. First, you use NLP to actually change your inner structure. Then, you use the interface to optimize how you interact with the world. And all the while, you're aiming to maintain that state of inner harmony, the coherent nexus.
So now that we have our architectural tools, let's bring it all back to that question we started with. Why in the world do generalizations hurt so much?
Let's just look at a really concrete example. Imagine hearing a statement like this one. It's broad, it's a stereotype, and honestly, whether you agree with it or not, it is a classic generalization that often triggers a really strong reaction.
And here's the crucial point. From an NLP perspective, this isn't just an opinion, it's what's called a meta-model violation. Now, I know that's a technical term, but all it really means is that it's a form of language that distorts reality. And generalizations do this by deleting all the specific details and, most importantly, by denying your individuality. It's a verbal shortcut that takes your unique identity, all your specific experiences, and just flattens them into a stereotype. In essence, it kind of erases you.
So, why do these violations have such a powerful effect? Let's explore why these kinds of statements can feel particularly sharp for so many women.
Turns out there are 4 interconnected reasons. First, a strong self-reference filter, which just means we instinctively and very quickly check that statement against our own sense of who we are. Second, you have to consider the social and cultural weight. This isn't just some random comment. It's often tied to decades, even centuries of stereotypes. Third, it directly messes with our emotional processing and coherence, knocking that inner architect right off balance. And finally, there's often this tendency for internal responsibility, which means we're more likely to actually internalize the criticism and start questioning ourselves. So at its core, this is what's happening inside. A generalization sets off an internal alarm. Your brain hears this external claim about who you are, and it immediately clashes with your own personal, lived experience. And that conflict, that is a direct assault on your coherent nexus, and it creates a ton of stress and frustration. Now this, what's on this slide, is so interesting because it makes the attack crystal clear. See, criticizing a behavior is specific. That action was emotional. You can deal with that. But a generalization attacks your identity. It says you are too emotional. Suddenly, it's not about what you did, it's about who you fundamentally are, and that feels a whole lot harder to change.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, and we know why it hurts. Now for the most important part, the solution.
How do you actively rewire your inner blueprint to protect yourself? This is the key question, isn't it? When someone lobs a generalization at you, how do you defend your inner architecture? How do you grab your tools and immediately get to work restoring that sense of inner harmony, your coherent nexus?
And here it is, the practical takeaway. The NLP metamodel gives you a simple but incredibly powerful technique. Step 1, just listen for that universal word, always, never, everyone. Step 2, challenge it with a simple clarifying question. Something like, always? Was there ever a time that wasn't true? Or, everyone? Who specifically are you thinking of? This one small step forces a shift from the abstract down to concrete facts, and it instantly drains the emotional power right out of the statement.
And just to be super clear, the goal here is not to win an argument. This technique is for you. It's an internal tool that you can use to immediately repair your own blueprint, protect your identity, and restore your sense of inner coherence right there on the spot.
And this brings us to the final thought we really want to leave you with today. As you go forward from here, just start paying attention. What generalizations coming from other people or maybe even from yourself are you allowing to become a part of your blueprint? By becoming a conscious architect, you get to decide what builds you up and what gets torn down.